welcome to the Manhood Neat podcast. All right, guys, we're back in the bunker. We've got the full crew again. Super excited about it. We got Bension.
Hello.
We got Dylan.
Yo.
We got Rob.
¿Qué pasa?
We got Ben Lewis.
Hola.
And me. All right, Rob.
Yes, sir.
Like in the last week, since the last time we hung out, we chit-chatted, did the things. What's been going on?
Well, I've been trying to track down a couple missing chickens.
Oh.
Oh my
Got two chickens missing.
Yoda's got him.
You got a weasel or a fox problem or something?
I don't know. Here's the thing. Here's what's funny about it. One, it happens during the day. It's happened to two chickens during the day. Two, there's no sign of a struggle, fight, or anything, right? So, like, no feathers, anything. And
Chupacabra.
El Chupa.
None of your claymores went off or anything.
Nothing. Yeah, they're just gone. I mean, literally, like, we bring them in at night, and you're like, hey, we're missing one.
That
And
sounds
then
like a
next
fox.
night, and literally, like,
Did
2
you
nights
have a
later.
fox order your training files that you
Yeah,
created?
yeah.
Your training videos?
Because
Yeah.
foxes are
The
diurnal.
fox laying out there in a ghillie suit.
He
somewhere.
is. He is. I'm serious, man. We were just like, I was just dumbfounded.
So you guys lost Hank?
Two of the girls.
Two of the girls.
Well, they're all girls, so
Oh, you have all
they lay
pullets?
eggs, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, unless
Men can lay eggs too.
Oh, that's true. I
Did you
forget.
ask them what gender chicken they were?
I told them what they
told
were.
them. Oh.
So yeah, so trying to figure out that issue. We don't know. A lot of theories, but
No leads.
no evidence. I've hunted and hunted. Nothing. Nothing to shoot yet.
Let me know when you do.
Okay.
All right, Ben Lewis, what's been going on the last week?
Not a lot's been going on.
Just the dog days of summer.
Just
huh?
the dog days of summer. You know, I had a great weekend this last weekend. Rob and I had a little mandate. I mean, we hung out as guys.
Yeah.
We went and got our hair cut at the barber shop, which was kind of a cool
Our
experience.
face hair.
Yeah, the old straight edge barber in Lincoln.
But
Check
the
it out.
Hair we got left. It's a face hair.
One of the most manly places ever, right, Rob?
Oh, it is. It's
Okay,
cool.
just
It's really
making
cool.
sure.
I like the story that you told me about the upstairs.
Right.
That's true, or
I don't even know if we can say that on camera.
really?
It's just
I mean, it could
On
it
cam-
could tarnish
Good
the
thing
big.
is we're not on
yeah,
camera.
we're not on camera. You're fine.
Oh, that's true. We can say it then. But it could tarnish the old Husker days. you
Oh
know.
man.
Or it could bring business
a-
to them.
It could.
It's a pretty cool
and
story.
just the Bulldogs, pretty cool.
It could be the downfall of the program of the Huskers.
I hope not.
Yeah.
No.
It
That's
was a
about
cool
it.
story. It was a cool story.
All right.
We'll share that sometime.
Yeah.
Dylan, the dog wants to come see you
Oh,
again.
Fargo, come here, bud.
Yeah, he loves you.
Good
Why are you doing that, Benson? What you been going on?
Well, I didn't lose any chickens, and I don't have a beard to go to the barber shop, so it's pretty low key, just hot.
Did you order a backhoe to start the bunker process?
I did not get around to that yet. My mining machines kept overheating, and it's really a bear when that happens.
Because it was like 95 degrees with 60% humidity the last couple days.
Yes, they do not like the heat.
Yeah.
They do not like.
They already
the heat.
produce enough as it is.
Yeah.
When you say mining machines, do you mean like crypto mining, or do you mean like you're like digging for ore?
No, the cryptocurrency mining machines.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever played Lemmings?
They get
He's got a
hot.
bunch of those little guys running around just pickaxing away at the ground.
That was a great game.
It was a great
I
game.
like that game. All right, Dylan, what you been
was over
rolling
my
on the
head.
last week here?
Getting a sick tan. People are finally starting to get their adjusters out, so the rigmarole is starting to take place. I was in a little bit of a limbo where you do a lot of inspections, and then you just kind of sit and wait. And now it's like the sharks have finally smelled the blood. They're out to go. Been dealing with a lot of shady contractors from Lincoln, too. They're not nice. They'll go up to they'll see your sign in the yard, and they'll go up to your client, and they'll do exactly what the devil does, and they'll put doubt in their eyes, and they're like, they're not a very big company, and I don't hear about them much. I don't know if they can handle what you guys need done. You should get a second opinion. And I'm like, you sleazy people.
That's why you just hang out and wait for him one time and walk up and be like, "What'd you say? You want one of these?"
I kind of just want to put them on blast right now. But I was pretty ticked when I had like 3 of my people call me and say, "Hey, these people are reaching out and saying they don't trust that you have the ability." I'm like, okay, was it a 20-year-old that doesn't know how to measure a roof? Because if that's the case,
Well, if you wait till fall, Rob gives a 2-for-1 discount. We talked about this last
right.
week. So
Maybe there's some.
Have all that roofing money.
Maybe you guys could collaborate on some work.
yeah,
we're already collaborating.
Take care of some business.
ah, cool.
What about you?
So I booted up an old game I haven't played in a while.
Yeah. Halo
Pac-Man,
3?
way to go.
No, not that old.
Pac-Man.
Halo 3?
Division 2.
Oh, Division.
Second one,
I haven't
yeah.
played that in forever.
So actually a year ago they released an expansion for it that I never played, where you go back to New York and like back to the Division 1 and see where like what happened since you left there.
No.
So I'm playing through that. It's pretty sweet. I ain't gonna lie. Unfortunately, no one is playing it that I know because Benson gave up gaming for Lent or something.
Early.
Yeah, what happened to Destiny?
Nope.
Gave it up. I don't see you in Destiny ever.
Nope.
Nope. Just WoW. World of
Super
Wings.
secret project I'm working on.
Oh. But anyways, and then my older brother,
Black Ops?
Black Ops.
You got to watch out for the
Farm
SSP.
Yeah. So my older brother's not playing anymore because he destroyed his arm. Did I tell you about this?
No.
Okay. So Nate, Nate, the guy that gave us a bottle, for his 42nd birthday, he got one of those electric scooters like you see downtown Lincoln. Yeah.
A bird?
Thing does 45 miles an hour.
Sasha.
Right.
They do haul.
Yeah.
They do haul.
Well, at night, I guess hitting a curb is hard on it and you. And so he like destroyed his radius in his right arm, which is his strong arm. And so he had like reconstructive surgery. He's got a pin through it. He's got like he's got to be in like a cast that goes up to like the first knuckle in his fingers for like 3 months, and he's got 6 months of rehab. He might get up to 85% of his mobility back. And so my mom's telling the story, and some lady's like, "Oh yeah, kids are just dumb." So how old's your son? My mom's like 42. So
Well, get well soon, Nate.
yeah,
Dang.
get well. But so he's not gaming, and I haven't seen D-Watt on. If he is on, we'll be playing Destiny anyway. So I'm just kind of solo attacking the Division 2, but it's good. So go buy an Xbox, Dylan, and we'll jump into it.
I'll probably jump back into Halo right away. I need to play like Halo Infinite and all those.
Do you really?
I've been watching gameplay of it. It looks
I love
really
when
fun.
people say need.
Yeah. That's
Sorry,
true.
I had to-
Yeah,
Hey,
had to.
bad choice of words, but
But no,
I don't need it.
Infinite was decent.
Was it?
Yeah, it's just you can tell they're like trying to take the game in a different direction, and they're like just trying to tie up the Cortana thing. And to me, it was kind of a sloppy tie up of one of the main characters.
So one more tangent before we go off on this.
Yep.
The Halo television show, people were ragging on it really hard, saying it has nothing to do with the storyline. It is totally the prequel to when they actually find Halo. It's actually really, really good.
Yeah, I didn't watch all, but I watched the first episode.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah. All right.
Everyone's got the button now.
Everybody's got the
We all need,
We all
need
got
access
we
to
all got
buttons.
slapped.
yeah. So, all right. Well, let's move on to something that people actually care about.
Oh, here we go.
What are we sipping on tonight, Rob?
All right.
Oh,
Well,
you even brought glasses.
I
Look at
brought
Rob.
glasses so I can read this.
So tonight we are partaking in the Woodford Reserve Double Oaked. Yeah. It is bourbon finished in new, heavily toasted, lightly charred barrels. It is a 45.2% alcohol or 90.4 proof
For the Iowans.
for the Iowanians. Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey finished in a second oak barrel. Delicious, delicious.
Can you pop that top
I can do that. Let's do it now.
and maybe give a little pour?
It looks real pretty.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ooh, that's a manly pop.
the manly.
Calm down, Lewis. Got a little church house squeaker going over there.
Sorry, fellas.
All right. Thank you, sir.
There you go.
Double oaked,
Double
a
oaked.
second barrel.
All right, guys. While the bottle's getting passed around and poured here, this bottle is brought to us by us, the Manhood Neat podcast, specifically Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
But if you'd like to enter into our conversation, you can email us at manhood.neat@gmail.com, or
info@manhoodneat.com.
you can follow us on the Instagrams and on Twitter, both at manhoodneat. You can like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. If you're on the iTunes or the Apple Podcast and you can leave us a review, like give us the 5 stars and like write a little review, even if it just says your mom listens to the Manhood Neat podcast, we would appreciate it. And you do get 5 free points, and those are very valuable. So definitely hold on to those. But and the biggest thing, guys, just tell your friends. This thing is growing slowly. It's cool, but if you know somebody who you think would enjoy it, let them know. And ultimately, guys, if you've got a group of guys that you're just like want to do what we do, you don't have to start a podcast. You can if you want. Send it to us. We'll listen to it maybe. But just get some guys, sit around a table, taste a little bourbon, and talk about life. It's good stuff. And we hope we are encouraging you to that. But anyways, let's jump into this review. The Woodford Reserve Double Oak. Is that correct?
Double oaked.
Double
Yep.
oaked.
Smells delicious.
It's got a nice wood smell. I smell a little vanilla in there too.
Definitely smell the vanilla.
So I get the oak.
It's Dirk and dark
Dirkin.
dark and rich
Dick and
looking.
Dirk and
Wow.
Flirkin,
Wow.
Flirkin.
How many?
Is it
This is my first glass of
double
the night.
oaked or double double shot?
Double fisting it.
I'm borderline Canadian there, eh?
Yeah.
I actually smell a little like caramel syrup almost.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Syrup.
Oh,
I'm really heavy
Maple.
caramel.
Great.
For sure.
Now we
Caramel and oak.
Do you guys get a little bit of a tart to it? No, just my nostrils are screwed
No,
up.
I guess
I got
you say a
COVID,
tart,
Yes.
like a dried fruit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can maybe.
Yeah, I can see dried fruit, like a apricot.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Placebo.
Now you smell it.
Pavlovian.
All right. Well, I'm gonna taste it.
Me too.
Yeah. Oh man.
I'll
Definitely.
be 100% honest. It doesn't coat the glass great. It's not oily, and
it's-
you can definitely.
But it's dark.
It is dark.
It is dark.
Now,
It's like borderline purple.
I think it's oily on the tongue though.
Yes, it is
It is.
for sure. The smoke. The smoke. You taste
Oh,
the
yeah.
smoke, which is
Taste of smoke.
You do
And the
taste the
wood.
smoke.
I love it. I love that.
So I get the oak, like the burnt oak flavor, but it's like somebody took and soaked it in like vanilla.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, and so it's like
I
vanilla
taste
extract.
like a clove.
Yeah, a little bit of clove spice or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like you're smoking a Dijaron Black right now.
And then
Take your word for it.
I taste that dried fruit taste too, that richness of like an apricot you're talking about.
Got the cinnamon, which is kind of there. I had a minty flavor, but I'm thinking that might have been the water. So
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, this mint water.
I know.
And bourbon.
might have messed with my taste bud a little bit there.
It tastes stouter than a 90 proof.
I know.
On the tongue.
Doesn't it? It does.
I like it.
It doesn't quite have that burn though. It's smooth.
Yeah.
Very.
Crazy smooth.
Yeah. It doesn't come on strong in that sense, in the alcohol sense.
Yeah.
And it doesn't leave.
It leaves you wanting more. Doesn't leave it
Yeah.
just burning in the back waiting.
I'll just be honest. It's one of my favorite bourbons. Woodford's one of my favorite bourbons in general. So the double oak is like climbing the ladder now.
So on the finish, and it's you've got to hold the finish longer to get the flavor out of it. You know, like it
Let
doesn't
it sit
just-
on your tongue a little more.
Yeah, but I get tobacco
Yep.
sweetness, and then
That like raisiny kind of.
and so I'm going to say creme brulee, but I don't mean the whole thing. I'm just talking about that crispy stuff on top, that burnt caramel on top. I get some of that, and then it finishes to me like on the. It's a pretty complex finish. It kind of moves into leather and white pepper at the very end.
What is white pepper?
Trying to think, it's used on fish a lot.
Like a lemon pepper kind of
No,
thing?
it's like black pepper, but it's
White.
just different. Yeah, but it's white.
It's
like
like,
a
black
blanched-
pepper, except it's white. So
So it's like the opposite of black pepper.
White pepper's got a
That's called
different.
salt, Aaron.
yeah, we have salt shakers and pepper shakers.
No,
We don't discriminate on
We have 3 shakers at our house: black pepper, white pepper, and salt.
white pepper is a different pepper flavor
Where does red pepper fit in?
than black. I
That's
don't
a
know.
Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
That's
No
the only place
room
red
on
pepper
the
fits in.
table.
No room on the table.
No, the table for the red pepper.
They go on the part of the table nobody likes. Racist.
Tough crowd here.
Jeez.
So, you guys have anything else on the finish on this thing?
The finish doesn't last too long, but like I said, it keeps you wanting to drink it. Like
It does.
You want to keep sipping it. It does taste really good right off the bat.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't linger. It's short to the point, but it's delicious.
I just like that the smoke is so up front.
It is.
It's like right there.
Like when you said tobacco, that's right on the money.
Yeah.
Like I'd think of chewing beech nut or red man when you say that.
There you go. Oh. I'd agree.
Hey, that's pretty good.
This is my new favorite one. I will admit that. I'm putting it at like an 80, 82. This is delicious.
All right.
It's a top-notch drink.
That is pretty good.
All right, Benson, is this a neat bourbon or is this an old fashioned?
So, just my taste, I would make this into an old fashioned just because a little bit of syrup and a little bit of sweetness to this. You'll still pull the smoke out,
Yep.
still pull the barrel out,
I could see that.
and it'd make a really good drink.
So what's your score on it?
It's not like for me, it's not my like favorite just overall, but I mean, I'd give it a 70.
70. All right. It's not
Yeah.
bad. All right, Lewis, you slushing it? Or you drinking it?
Oh, I'm drinking it, and you guys would probably slap me if I slushed it, but I do love the smokiness to it. The initial palate's awesome.
I will say your slushes on the 4th of July were delicious.
That was good. That was just good
great.
old Evan Williams bottled and bond.
Hey, I got it.
Hey, that's right.
Yeah.
You don't have it slushed.
I don't have it slush.
It's not bad.
Um,
but I do like it. It's a 71 for me.
71. Now,
I'm gonna change mine to a 72.
72. You got to be careful about the slushes, though, because I've heard if you drink 2 of them on the 4th of July, you end up buying an AR.
That's true.
So everybody drink 2 of them.
And it's only 90 proof, so I don't know if I could even slush it by the rules.
That's
Yeah.
true.
According
The
to
rules. Rob, what's your score on this?
Yeah, so I'm gonna score. A normal Woodford's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
and
it
so
is
for me, a normal Woodford's probably an 80. I'm gonna give this one an 85.
It's up there.
Yep.
that's solid.
Man, so,
This is my new favorite bourbon. That was delicious.
yeah, I think it's good. I mean, it's not my new favorite. And that's not derogatory. It's just
Yeah, it's,
But I'm coming
it's
off
really
of Maker's
good.
46.
No.
So everybody's got different tastes.
Like, I'm not mad at you if you serve me this when I come over.
right. No, no. And I would buy this. You know, if it was
Do you
on,
even like me?
yeah.
Why do you hate me?
Yeah. You guys are jerks.
Here's some old Bardstown. I think you'll like it. Hey, ministry friend.
Nice.
Wow.
Sorry.
So, little side tangent. One of my favorite things I've noticed is we're doing a very good job of keeping jokes rolling for like multiple months at a time. So that's if we can do that, like nothing else really
And
matters.
we're the only ones that get the joke.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, this is
No,
mainly
they-
for our
some other
entertainment.
people
true.
get
It's
it.
true. We're only doing the podcast for us anyway.
We got
Yeah.
like 10 listeners.
But I will give a score. I'm actually going to score this the same as last week. It's a 72.
Okay.
I think that's what I gave last week.
So I'm the low guy again,
It's all right.
I think.
Well, that's
'cause
because
you're short.
you're a proof snob.
I am short.
We're
No.
70 or over. That's
I mean,
That's a really good-
That's a great
hey,
bourbon.
that's pretty good.
No doubt.
I don't know. I just like
And
it.
again, what's a 70?
In
Car
cars?
wise?
70.
We
I think this answer
We
varies.
debate- we
this
debate on
varies
that.
every week.
This
I think
will
people
have
are
a-
like,
Would it
these
be
guys
like
are
a-
full of crap.
Would it be like a Gran Torino?
This will have
You
a
always
really
go
high
old.
average.
I'm more
bourbon,
modern.
the
You're
low
more
being
modern.
a 70,
Like a
and high
Koenigsegg?
being
I think it's an
85.
M3,
Yeah.
BMW M3.
Oh, okay. An M
All right.
Series BMW, I'd give you that. That's a 70 for sure.
Yeah, M3.
Like
M5 would be like a 75.
Porsche
70,
Carrera.
80, somewhere there.
Would that be like a mid 60s?
Carrera?
Wow.
No,
Or Cayenne.
I
Sorry, Porsche Cayenne.
Oh, that's the SUV.
I'm gonna need a chart
But it's still fast.
sometime.
Yeah,
Like, can you guys make me a
Mid
chart?
60s.
Car
Yeah.
chart by 5.
By fives.
This car. This car. This car.
I think this would be a like a new 4-door Jeep Wrangler, like a Willys.
A Rubicon.
Not a Rubicon, but you know.
So I need you guys, before we get into the main topic, I have a prayer request. So I did finally get my pickup adjusted for hail from the storm.
You're going to get a
It's
Gladiator.
totaled. I want a Gladiator. So we need to pray that
Another hailstorm.
I can do that. No, it's already been totaled. It's already totaled. But
Oh.
my fear is that people are going to want to just buy it back and I have to keep driving it.
Nah.
Does
And
your
so-
does the people that want to buy it back just want to sell it at the price they could buy it back at?
Oh, why do you want to buy it?
I mean,
It's
I
a
need more
Ford.
trucks.
I'll give you $500 for that.
You're
right
talking
now.
to the guy that likes Ford.
It's the stereo doesn't
I'll
work.
give you 550.
The AC blows cold, and it's got a lot of hail dents, and it's got some cancer.
555.
555. Don't you have a
551,
Ford for sale?
Bob.
What do you want to get for it?
He does have a
Yep.
Ford for sale, and it is a very nice Ford.
I bid $1, Bob.
$1, Bob. That's right. That's what I should do.
And
Like,
the
I should have an
actual-
auction, and it goes to the cheapest guy, but nobody knows that.
Don't even
And
know.
the actual retail price is
$4. Yeah. All right. So, Robert, do you consider yourself confrontational?
Depends on the issue.
Depends on the issue.
Yeah.
Do you think that so what I want to talk about is our culture how would you describe our culture? We talk about it a lot. Is it like spiraling towards heaven or going to hell in a handbasket? And I don't actually. Let's break down that
The
expression.
latter.
What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Going to hell in a handbasket?
The handbaskets aren't very big.
No, that's a dumb expression. Who made that up?
I don't know.
Do you think we're Sodom and Gomorrah right now, or
I
Oh,
can't-
we're sodomizing Gomorrah.
I cannot say Sodom and
think we're
Gomorrah. My
full.
wife will murder me because I've been saying that for years. I say we were leaving in the modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. Yeah. My wife's like, "You're a broken record already. Cut it out." I'm like, "But we are."
You not listen to our podcast? Our podcast is a broken record.
Yeah, but you shouldn't. This shouldn't surprise us.
No.
It's where we live.
It doesn't
It's-
surprise, and the Bible even says,
Right.
It
nothing
says-
is new under the sun.
Yeah.
Everything we see and are experiencing,
It's already happened.
it's already happened, and it's in the Bible. You read what happened to Israel. Yeah, those guys were
The country or the guy?
the country.
Okay.
But just as a nation, right? The things they were doing, they'd be like, "Oh, we're all for God," and the next week they're sacrificing babies.
To Moloch.
You know,
Which
or
we're
I
doing
should say,
now.
2 chapters later, they're sacrificing babies. I don't know how long that was in between that, but I'm just saying it's like all of a sudden you got kings that are like, "Yeah, everything's permissible. We don't care." I mean, just
All right. So,
But
Just
I already
saying.
say that we're doing it
yes.
now.
I know. I'm just saying that it's
But
it's nothing new under the sun, like it says. Is it Ecclesiastes, right? Nothing new under the sun.
right. Yeah.
but we're actually rolling that back a little bit.
What do you
Are we
mean?
rolling it back, or are we
I was
just
like-
repeating what we know?
Okay, so the overturning of Roe v. Wade is allowing the states to choose, and there's a lot of states that are banning that murdering of babies. We're kind of rolling it back a little bit right now. It's small steps,
Yes.
but it is happening.
So, right.
Thank God.
The reaction to it, right? The reaction to
The
it
reaction to it is a bunch of banshees.
is demonic.
Yes.
Straight up demonic.
So let's go back to the Bible again. Israel. So plenty of times in Israel, if you read like Chronicles and Kings, what happens? King gets in place. He's like, "Oh, somebody confronts prophet confronts him. Tear down all the Asher poles. Tear down the this and this and this." Okay, so they do it for a time, and then what happens? They go right back to their ways.
I mean,
Okay.
They fall right. back to
History
their
always
ways again.
rhymes.
I'm just saying it. There's nothing new under the sun. We should not. In that sense, we should not be surprised.
We should not be surprised. I agree with you that. My question is, knowing that it's not new, that's going to happen, and even if there's a reprieve, will happen again, does that remove the responsibility of confronting it from our shoulders?
Absolutely not.
Okay. So, are we, as Christian men in this country, so this is because remember this podcast is to men, right? Christian men. And so are we confronting the battle as we should as Christian men? Yes or no? And then if not, how do we do it? Where are the boundary lines? What does it look like? Why are we not? What correction needs to come first? Like there's all these things, and it's a huge question. And so we don't have to do all of it tonight because
Can you repeat the question?
what does confronting
there a
look like?
question in there?
Maybe
that's what we'll start with. What is confronting?
All right, yeah, let's do that one.
What does confronting look like for Christian men against the culture? And so, and we can use examples
Against
look at this.
culture, not against other believers, per se.
Well,
Could be both.
It could be both because the culture. So we'll change. Let's take the word culture out. Let's put the word spirit of the age in. Right. So when I say spirit of the age, I mean the way in which Satan is working to thwart God's glory in our very midst. That can be in the church. That can be in the society. That can be in our schools. That can be in our television. That can be all these things. So the spirit of the age is that movement. So like the spirit of the age now is very much it's a removal of truth. It's always removal of truth, but the way it manifests itself. So I don't know, like what you want to call, like, the demon of this or whatever. I just use the word spirit of age to kind of encompass the spiritual warfare that we are encountering. Does that make sense? And how it manifests itself today in our culture that we can deal with and I'm talking I don't want us to be like looking only at, well, we pray and we read, these are all things we do. Like we do this in the spiritual side, but I'm talking about here in our actual physical life. How do we confront that?
I think it's tough because I've been reading a lot of the epistles that Paul did to the churches recently. That's been my kind of devotional daily reading. And so, his focus wasn't on culture. Now, he addressed cultural issues within the church, right? Don't don't let the world influence you, what you're doing in the church. And here's how you should be living as believers and towards each other as believers and towards your brothers and sisters. And here's how you interact with the world. But he never, at least not that I can remember if he has, but talks about now we need to go and confront what the politicians are doing and how they're leading, Rome, or what's going on here, what's going on there. All he ever addressed was how we are supposed to be one amongst each other, and then two, how we approach and how we, to your point, confront people. But it was more about, we talk with them about the gospel, what Christ has done, and let God work on the conviction of the sin of what they're doing, right? The wrongness of what they're doing. Let God take care of the heart part, right? We're just sowing the seed, right? Or whatever. And so there's not a whole, in that sense, there's not a whole lot that I can go on from a New Testament perspective. Now I could go back to the Old Testament and understand, as a nation, Israel faced a lot of the issues from the nation went awry. But then I look at that as that was the foreshadowing of the church, right?
Right.
Like how the nation itself was supposed to be the chosen nation of God, or is, however you want to look at it. Oh, that's a whole nother debate, right? How that looks, and that's supposed to be the foreshadowing. But I think it's more of an example of what could happen if we don't, within our own churches, big church, right, not address those issues, to your point, right? I'm kind of going around here in a kind of big circle,
So,
but you know what I mean? Like, we've said it before, we are in this world, but we are not of this world. And where does to your point, I think the question is like, where do we get involved and where don't we worry about getting involved?
okay.
Right.
And so, and maybe I'm wrong on this. This is me talking, not it's not the Bible or anything. But so we do know that Paul says, like, in the Bible clearly shows that, like, you follow the laws of the land, right, until they supersede God's, or they try to supersede God's, right? So if by following a law, or your parents or whatever, if you are to break God's commands, then you don't. God's are precedents. So you don't do them, right? We see this with Daniel, and then we even see, like, Paul talks about it, right? Like he says, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and God what is God's. That's both monetary, but also like just respect and honor. So I do think, and the difference is Paul. So Paul was in a time of a dictator, right? So the rights of the people was very minimal compared to what we have, or had, or still can have, right? And so, so we have the right, like we have different rights within our government than he would have had. And so I think we are called to utilize the rights and the processes and the organizations within our government and stuff to speak truth and can confront evil, as long as we stay in those guidelines, right? We stay in those bounds. So I'm not saying like, okay, no, well, let's say, because now the big push by what's her name, Elon Omar, is to expand the courts, right? I disagree with expanding the courts. I think it's, but it's not unconstitutional. There's not a law against it. So we can't be like, well, I'm going to go kill any judge they bring out. Like that's wrong. God would not approve of that. But I do think that we are called to try to work to protect innocence and speak truth through the confines of the law, as long as it's there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a interesting issue because, to your point, we're in a government. We're ruled under a government where we as citizens have a say, and up until the United States, there really, that I can think of, there wasn't, other than Rome early on, there wasn't a people that had that type of say. They weren't able to say, this is who we want in charge, and we all agree on, there was a vote, basically, right? We all had the right to vote to say, this is how we want it to be ran, and agree to that, and have people represent us as that. And so that throws a whole nother, to your point, level of responsibility in outside of one, what the church is, but two, now we as a church and people of a church, we actually have a say in how the government itself is ran and who's in charge and what kind of laws are made. And where do we, to your point, where can we step in? Where should we step in and oppose and not oppose? And we're not. And if a law passes that we don't agree with as a church, do we fight against that law, or do we say, well, it went through, if it goes through the normal process, right, and it becomes a law, are we now all of a sudden like put our hands up and, well, it's a law, like nothing I can do about it. I still oppose it.
Well, that goes back to what
I
he
live
said
on,
earlier.
right?
We follow
It's
the
hard.
laws of our government until they supersede God's law.
Yeah, but there's laws out there that don't. So to the point of like,
I think it's more about if it infringes on your ability to be a believer
yeah,
and your
that's-
ability. Like some of these laws, they're not in line with the Christian belief, but we still follow the law of the land.
Like speeding.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
When it starts to infringe
much
on our ability to worship our God, that's when we say, no, this is
Yeah.
absolutely not
like
happening.
like abortion is an example. All right, let's say the state, if we lived in a state that has a law that it's legal, so it's legal, but it doesn't mean that as Christians we would participate in that. We're not forced to participate in that.
But
right?
are we
But
held
then
to
it
a
becomes
standard
are
to
we
stop people?
right? Are we told to do that? I don't know. I can't.
That's,
I think we
So-
should fight within the system to end it.
Yeah, within the system, I agree. That's yeah, and then that's all of a sudden. That's I think maybe part of the crux of this question is where do we
so. Does that end in a
where
civil
do
war?
we step in?
Was that
Does that end in a civil war?
might?
Maybe.
So the question that let's take it. So abortion is I should say an extreme because it's one of the starting points of all this stuff. But so abortion though is very still much like a person goes and has one, right?
Right.
So
A woman goes
It's
and has
available.
one.
It's
A woman goes and
yeah,
has one.
Okay. Yes, a woman has one.
It's an available thing that somebody can. do.
It's murder by choice.
Right.
Yeah. So that what let's take it, bring it down away from murder, right, to indoctrination of evil into children's minds, right?
Oh boy.
So we have the ability to not send our kids there, right? But is our responsibility at that just to say, okay, yep, I got my kids out, not my problem anymore? Or do we, especially as men, have a responsibility to protect the children of other people from being indoctrinated or taught these evil things within the system law? So I'm not saying like we go take the
You can't go kidnap the kids.
yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, should we be constant? Should we be legally so in the face of people who would institute that it's no longer worth their while to do it? Would that be the unchristian thing to do, or would that be the Christian thing for a man to do?
I mean, to me, the legal Christian thing to do would be able to get that to be classified under legal law as child abuse, and then have those kids stripped away from
But
those children.
let's move in where we're at right now. Where we're at right now, it is not unlawful for us to go every school board meeting and cause a ruckus legally. Like,
Peacefully protest.
we can't push nobody, but we can have signs. We can use our 5 minutes, whatever, and you can speak loudly. You can berate. You can call people. You can.
as long as you don't incite violence.
What's the word I'm looking for? Shame people for teaching these things. Like, shaming is not wrong. No, like, you should be ashamed of this, right? And so we can do these things and be such a hassle that it basically they go, okay, it's fine. We're getting rid of it. It's not worth it. But we're the quiet side, right? So what I'm saying, and so my question is this: I'm not saying we should do this. My question is, should we?
Yes.
What do you? I mean, I want everybody's opinion on that.
Yes. I mean, the other side has done it, and look how effective it's been.
The other side's not trying to please Christ with their life.
No, they're
though, so-
not.
No, but they have been doing those exact same tactics, and look how effective it has been. So yes, we should be doing that because
So
we actually have a moral compass to fall behind.
So I would say the method in which it's done, the way that in which it is, when you approach people and how you confront people and the manner in which you do it, you can be firm and be full of grace, and you can speak truth and be full of grace. So I think it's to that what you're called almost. Like, I mean, I think it's what is the Spirit? Number one, are you in the Spirit? Are you in your Bible? Do you understand what His calling is and what He's asking you to do? And if it seems crazy and absurd and you don't really want to do it, probably He's calling you to do it. So like if you're sitting there like, oh, I'd never go to a school board meeting, I'd never do that, and then like next week you feel like you should go, and you've been praying about it, you should probably go. But I think it's the way that we do it is going to be different from our non-believing counterparts, right? Because we should do it in a way that's very truthful, but confrontation is what it is. You're going to call people out and you're going to tell them that they're doing things that aren't right, and they're teaching our children things that aren't right. So, I mean, yeah, if that's what you're called to do and you believe you need to go stand there and be there, and I would argue that probably all of us need to do that. It's a matter of, like we talked about before, like, right, knowing when they are, putting it on the calendar, getting away from the busyness, clearing your schedule, making a priority, all those things. But I think the bigger thing for like the everyday guy like myself, like when I think about this, like I don't have kids in Seward Public yet. Like they go to St. John's, like my kids are still little. Do I think I'll be active as they move up? I really do. But then right now, looking at your sphere of influence, right? Like the kids that come to the house, the kids that are on the baseball team, having that influence on their lives and making the most of those opportunities, I think as men, I think that is really where we need to be taking our stand too, is those people, those relationships that are always close and near and dear to us to begin with. So
I'm feeling pretty convicted, I guess. I think my response, right or wrong, years ago was to just retreat to the church, maybe, and surround myself with dudes like you and family and people that thought like me. And I know we were looking at each other just a second ago, Dylan. I know we're thinking the same thing. Like, hey, and maybe this was another silver lining from the old pandemic or something, because I suddenly during the pandemic found myself at city council meetings, being a pain in the ass to the mayor and the city council about the mask mandate, and just asking questions, maybe not being derogatory, just trying to do it in a somewhat loving Christian way. Ask questions. Why? What does this mean? And I think a lot of people came out of their shell during that time doing that. We've talked a lot about the mama bears that popped out during those times that seem to be leading a lot of these crusades now. And we probably all need to just get off the sidelines at times.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the mask mandate is your jam. Maybe the mandate, regarding sex ed standards or CRT or whatever is what pulls you out, to the city council meeting, or that pulls you out into, city government, or just maybe just discussion with your friends. You can have those things in a respectful way. And I think that, as men, we've like at times given in to this worry and shame, about, gosh, I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to be thought of in this way, and who really cares what men think, I guess, I'm not here to please man. I'm here to, serve God and try to follow what I think He's prompted me to do,
Okay, so you've been to those school board formats.
Mm-hmm.
When you go and speak in front of them, do they have the chance to rebuttal or debate you, or is it just you give them your 2 minutes and then they're like, okay, next person?
Typically those Robert's rules are you get your few minutes and they're not going to get in any back and forth with you.
I think that needs to change. I think people need to be pigeonholed into a place where they have to either defend absolute lunacy, because if they just listen to you and say, okay, next person, they don't have to defend their stance.
Yeah, but if you get it where the next person is continuing the same speech, and the next person continues it, and the next person continues it, because there's men showing up in force. And that's the thing, too. Like, I'm literally mean men.
Right.
And I'm not speaking bad about women. I'm not saying that, like, but even look at, like Deborah. Was it Deborah? No. Wait, Maav? In the Bible.
Which one?
The one who's like, yeah, I'll go with you to war, but I'm going to write down that you had to have a woman go with you because you're weak.
I don't know if it's Deborah or what.
I think it was.
That sounds like a Deborah
think-
kind of thing to do.
Sounds like a Karen, maybe.
Better look that up.
No, Karen would be the opposite.
But no, but it just shows like even there it shows like yeah, like there's a strong woman, right? And it's because and like even there it's pointed like because God had to raise up a strong woman to fill in because men were being lazy, right? Like that's every time we see that in the Bible, it's because men are being lazy. So God's like, well, I created women to like they're going to women always fill the void, right? And so that's why I'm speaking to the men here. Like we should show up, but I think that we have been so taught not to be confrontational, right? Because like for some reason we have this idea that Christians aren't to be confrontational. Christ is super confrontational,
Super.
Oh yeah.
like massive. Like
He convicts everyone.
yeah, like the word.
Period.
Like what is the word? The word is God, right? It's Jesus. Like Jesus and the word are one, and it separates bone from marrow. Like that's confrontational. Like when the dude comes back, he's coming back in what? He's coming back in a robe that's been dipped in blood with a sword in his mouth to take vengeance upon his enemies. Like that's confrontational, right? We're not called to be passive, like effeminate beings. We're called to be confrontational men seeking to confront the world with love, mercy, and truth, right?
But is it always that?
Yes. Because how is it loving for me to accept? So if someone says, okay, yeah, like I was born, with like a penis and balls with twigs and berries, but I'm a girl. It's not loving for me to agree with that. Like, no.
That's what I'm saying. Like
You're right.
the mercy side of it. Like if Benson is like, Dylan, you need to cut about 20 pounds off. That's not like super kind, merciful, passive.
No,
It's
but
to
it
the
is.
point. It's loving.
It's loving.
It's loving. He doing it out of love.
The mercy would be
it hurts.
The mercy would be where you go, no, I'm going to gain 20 pounds. And he's like, I'll still be your friend.
I still love you, brother.
Don't be my friend if I do that.
But I'm going to make you lose.
The mercy is him not dragging you to farm fit.
Farm fit. Yeah.
I might go to farm fit.
You can do it on your own.
So, like, I don't know. Like,
It's kind of like letting your kids run with scissors. Like, oh yeah, you're fine. I'm sure that won't bite you in the ass.
I almost let my daughter touch the hot thing after I told her repeatedly not to, just so she could learn her lesson the other day. Does that make me a bad father?
Yes.
you said, no. He said almost.
This is intervention.
He said almost.
Where's it?
I did say almost. We had just made a
borderline.
pizza on the pizza pan, and I said, don't touch it. It's hot. Do not touch it. First thing she goes to try to do. And it's like a split second me was about to say, let you burn your hand.
Well, see,
I told you repeatedly not to touch it.
What that split second was subconsciously you were thinking, how hot is it still? Like, how bad would the burn
400
be?
degrees.
That's what I'm saying. So, but if it was like 200, 250,
What's the limit for a third degree burn?
yeah, you're running the process real quick.
I'm not going to lie. I was about to say, let her learn her lesson. Like, I've told you repeatedly, don't do it. Would that be loving to let her learn her lesson and not repeat it again in the future?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes it is.
Believe me, the Lord disciplines us that same way.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
He lets sin.
We're
do
slow
its job.
learners.
he lets us to our own ruin sometimes when we stray far enough. So,
What you thinking of there, Rob?
It's just so it's a. I won't say it's complex, but
Convoluted.
It's convoluted. It's complex. I think there is a place for confrontation. I think man, you have to have a lot of wisdom to come at it, from the worldly perspective, from a worldly view. And I mean that in the sense, so I'm just trying to think of it through this, from the lens of going to a school board meeting, right, and stating your case with them or stating your 5 minutes, whatever they give you, and how to wisely use that time to state something, to confront in that loving way for the purpose of what it should be, right? To promote truth, to promote what you're trying to say, to stand up to it, right? And now you've said your 5 minutes, and it's gone right now. And you move on, and maybe you do this every time you go. And what I'm not saying what changes or anything, but what I'm trying to say is, at what point are we doing it for the world? Trying to save the whole world, or just trying to save some souls? Right? Are we trying to save the souls of certain people, or are we just doing it to say I want it to be this way? Right? I want this to be ran this way. Right? I believe in this, and this is how I want to see it ran. Versus, I believe how this is running is condemning people's souls, and it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
Right? So
you hit it when you said, are you trying to win souls, right?
Right.
So Ephesians 6, 10 to 17 is 10 to 18 is my favorite scripture. And it talks about the battle is a spiritual battle against evil, not against people.
Mm-hmm.
And it talks a lot about praying in the Spirit, all kinds of troubles, because to me, as we go through this conversation, the confrontation piece is not going to win any souls. If I go to the school board meeting and I pick someone out and I say, you are wrong, I disagree with you, I may get a band of brothers to stand up there and say, you're wrong, dude, and this and that. All he's going to do, being of the world, is he's going to go home and he's not going to care. He's going to be like, what a bunch of idiots. Mm-hmm. They think this. They are so wrong.
You're going to Twitter on your ass.
He's going to get hardened.
And you're going to create this issue where you can't now have a loving conversation with this individual because he's so turned off to you. Because you got to remember, the people, they're not going to be reasonable. They don't think the way that we think. They don't act the way that we act when they're confronted.
No.
And so you have to keep those things in mind and look at it from a spiritual side of we have a responsibility, but is that responsibility a personal responsibility to touch the individuals that are within our spheres of influence and within our ability to communicate with, and then hope that relationship or whatever it is can persuade in a way that Jesus is able to enter their heart, because essentially that is what has to happen.
So okay, yeah, and I agree. But so my pushback, and it's just for conversation's sake, is: are you more worried about the person who's causing the damage, or those who are being damaged by that person? Yeah.
I'm more worried about the people being damaged.
Well, and that's exactly what you got to ask yourself before going into it.
Right?
Is that where my heart's at, or is it in one or the other? Right? Is it? I think it's a great question to ask yourself before approaching it.
Yeah, it's got to be for the kingdom.
It has to be.
It's really easy to get caught up and be like, I'm right, dang it, and you're not, totally. And you
earn it,
right?
Dang nabbit.
Dang nabbit.
But yeah, when the longer this conversation lingers, the more it's obvious that to me that it's confrontation is necessary at certain times. And confrontation is almost on a personal level to me. I feel like if you're gonna approach the school board, let's just say you're talking to the school board, and this fact, and you guys are doing this, and I disagree with these things. Boom, boom, boom. But if you're gonna confront an individual, I think that's a private thing between you and that individual, because otherwise you're just gonna create more issues. So.
Yeah, and you're trying to, when you go in front of something like that too, you're trying to persuade a change, and just stating fact to people to assume that change is going to happen just doesn't happen, because that's what they're doing. Trying to argue. I mean, now there's people that believe them.
Yep.
Right? Their belief system believes them, so they follow them into the gates of hell because of their argument. Right? They're like, no, I believe that, so I'm following this person. But for somebody from the other side to come in and say, just do the same thing they're doing with their argument, saying, no, you're wrong. It's just this wall resistance is up. But if you can go in and question their belief right off the bat,
poke holes in it,
just question it, make them see through questioning what they're, you know what I mean? That's, they have to question what their belief is. And so you have to propose it as questions and not as statements of truth, right? You have to
Right.
like,
That's very smart.
you know what I mean? Like
It's sales 101, dude.
it is totally sales 101.
Sales 101.
It is 100% sales 101. You ask questions, right? Then you restate what they told you, and then you tell a short story to
It's
state what they just told you.
the Socratic method.
And all of a sudden they're
arguing.
looking at you like, yeah, that's why I have that problem. Yeah. No, it is totally sales 101. That's what I was getting at a little bit. Is sales 101.
But that's what I think about when you think about converting people. It's like literally, it's
How do you
as
sell?
sad as this is.
Yeah.
It's a sales thing. It's how do you get them? How do you get them to listen to what you have to say?
Yeah. And sales
You don't convert anybody. Only God does.
No,
right.
he does.
No, you're exactly right. But how does he use me to do that, and what does that look like?
Through Wagyu.
Yeah. Wagyu. So I want to go back to the verses you brought up, Ephesians, right? We don't war against people, but against principalities and that stuff, right? Is that what you were doing? Yeah. Okay. So how do we war against that? Is it only like, does that war only in the spiritual realm? So it's just through prayer and fasting and like reading the Bible and stuff? Or is there a physical element that we do? Like, are any physical wars here warring against the spiritual?
I mean, is morality spiritual?
I'm asking. I mean, don't answer a question with a question.
Just told us.
Sales 101.
sales 101. What's the question?
That's funny.
True.
Yes. No. What was the question?
So
I was laughing at you. Now
Yeah.
I don't remember the question.
What I'm basically asking is, how does, so when we're told we war not against men, but against principalities and, and so is that just through prayer and like reading the Bible and that kind of stuff? Or does it pour into our physical realm? And if so, how do we do it then? And so like for me, I'll give an example. Like I've always said like, when you're in a war, like a people versus people war. So Civil War, World War II, whatever war you want to pick. Like the correct mentality is my goal is not to obliterate a people. My goal is to obliterate an ideology, right?
An immoral cause.
What's that?
An immoral cause. Spiritually.
We'll just use ideology.
Well, even in war, what's the goal? Is to, like you said, to win the opposing side. What's one of the biggest things they do?
Break the will of the people.
Not just break the will of the people, but win the hearts and minds of the people too.
Propagandize.
Right?
Depends.
Propaganda is part of it. I mean, I say propaganda, but
I don't know. I mean,
Truth.
if you look at war fighting, so there's like World War II is the last, like there's a major change in the way we fight wars from that point forward.
Yeah.
Because that was the first recorded propaganda.
Yeah, and so you start seeing some of World War II, and then you get into Korea and Vietnam, it's way worse.
But Afghanistan, Iraq, what was a lot of what we did out there? It was going in and talking
We
to
lost.
the people.
That's what we did there.
But at the part of it, but as it doesn't matter, we lost or won.
What does it?
It doesn't.
Because
We
changed the way we
sometimes
fought.
it's how you fight too.
We changed the way we fought, and that's why we lost.
We lost because we lost because we just stopped.
Because what did we do in World War II? We did not stop until the other side was demoralized and they gave up.
Right.
We ended it.
And then after that, we said, now let us rebuild you in our image in a better way. And we built allies, right? We didn't try to win over the Japanese people until we
You're
defeated
welcome, Japan.
them. We defeated Japan and then we won them over by the way we rebuilt them.
Thanks, Nokia.
And so what changed is now we fight wars in, no, come to our side in the midst of, no. We're going to break you. When you say you're broken, how does God win us over? God wins us over because when we are so broke, when we recognize we're broken, then God says, okay, now let me rebuild you in my image, right?
Good point.
And so we don't, when it goes, so we go.
Matthew 5.
My warfare issue is the reason we don't win wars anymore in America is because we stop fighting wars biblically. Sorry. That's
So
my-
no,
we stopped.
Aaron, you have to remember, and I think you have like a super warrior spirit. So like we can tell this from being in this room, but like you have a super warrior spirit, and that's great.
All the rainbows and
But
unicorns.
The coexist
so,
sign.
but we
Totally coexist.
But we appreciate that side of it because I think most people have a little bit more passive, different way of looking at it. But yeah, is there a point when it becomes like an actual, like a physical battle? Like, and I think there is a point.
And I don't even mean like physical warfare,
Right.
shooting, but I just mean where
Yes.
it pours into
Sure.
tangible ways.
Yeah, sure. And is there a place for confrontation? Absolutely. Absolutely there is. And it's
Is there a
when
place for violence?
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. I agree.
It's all on the football field.
No. That's grab ass.
In the old
That's not violence.
Yeah, it's the individual discussion is one thing, right? To your point, Ben, of one-on-ones is a
So-
different approach and a different discussion and a different.
It is.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to go there and be like, I'm going to break you and then I'm going to speak the gospel
Right.
to you,
But
right? That's
here's
not what
the-
we're doing. But then the government's, it's a government's.
Or even the spirit of the age.
I'm just saying,
Right.
spirit of the. I'm just saying, no. What I'm trying to say is from a war perspective.
Yeah.
It's the. I don't say it's the job of the government, but it is the government that initiates and fights wars. And to your point of a war, to be won, needs to go through those stages, right? Of defeat, right?
Right.
So we're broken. Now we'll rebuild you. If you're, and that's what I guess nations you look at in history of war now that you talk about it. That's what they all did. They conquer and then they come back and say, now we're going to rebuild you in our image.
Well, look at what we did in
Persians,
basic
Romans, everything, Greeks,
training. Basic training do the same thing to us. They break us down to the
down,
point.
but as a group.
Yeah, but then they're like, now we're going to rebuild you in the
Right.
image that we need. I mean,
Yeah.
how demoralized for you your
And-
first 2 weeks of training.
And now at Camp Pendleton, you can wear a dress if you're a guy
Oh,
who
great.
goes to girls.
Perfect.
And we have the
Nah.
weakest military
Now,
we've ever had.
now they do it. Now that I'm out.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And that's why you left. You're like, I can't wear a dress.
Well,
You were
Klinger
you
over
were a
here.
beautiful
Way to
woman in
go.
a dress.
Klinger.
Yeah, Klinger was doing it back in Korean War.
That's
What are you
true.
talking about?
That's true. What a great show.
I've watched every episode. I get to. Oh man,
I love MASH.
it's great.
So I do think you're right. Like, so, and to kind
And I
of,
have no idea where we're going with this question.
I don't either.
Yeah, but
just-
I was gonna
I'm kinda
flip it.
lost,
I was
but
gonna flip it a
at the
little
same
bit
time.
because I think there's a place for the confrontation. There's a place for like direct man to man, like you don't act this way and you're not going to act this way right now. And I'm going to stop you. Like there's a place for that.
right.
I'll tell you, like if you're, I mean, just imagine you're in a public place and you see a woman being abused,
Yeah.
or you're going down the street and you see someone abusing their child or whatever it is. Those are my righteous anger pain points. Like for me, like if I see that, I do have a very righteous anger, and I guarantee you I would confront that, as dangerous as that might be for me and for other people.
No, it's
That's a
dangerous
position.
for
That's a
him.
That's a position where it's like I'm not going to watch that. I refuse to stand by and watch that ever.
Yeah.
And so I guess 100% agree with you. And I guess where I'm kind of getting to is when I hear about things that are being taught in the schools, or honestly, even in progressive quote air quote churches, I see it as abuse equal to that,
Yeah.
and my anger level is just as high.
Yeah.
And so my question is to myself, and this is so a lot of this conversation is me pointing at myself because I've been failing to step up to the plate in my own eyes, right? Is if I were to see a man hitting a woman, or a man hitting a child, or a woman hitting a child, whatever, I'm gonna say something, right? Like if I see it physically, I'd like to assume that I would at least. So when someone's mentally manipulating and mentally abusing through improper teaching, improper or weaponization of scripture, or just complete lack of teaching a reality, and that transgenderism exists and all these things, I'm just like, well, it's just society. It's just kind of going crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You don't do that though. You don't say that when it comes to those issues.
But I'm not saying him and acting upon.
Yeah.
It's two different things.
I think it's when I hear that, like, how do you, to your point, like, how would you approach that? How would I stand up to that or go speak to that? And my mind just keeps going back to, you got to use a ton of wisdom and humility.
Right. I have
and-
very little of both.
Yeah, same here. Right? Like, it's like ugh, lacking. But but seriously, like, I think maybe that's what keeps a lot of us from actually. We have the righteous anger, right? We're obviously there because we're talking about it. We've all got the righteous anger, and we know what we should do or say, but we lack the.
Do we lack the nuts to do it, or do we lack
the fortitude to like say, all right, I'm going to follow through and just be, in faith, say, God, I believe I should be saying something. I'm going to go say it, and I'm hoping you're with me on this, right? I'm in faith. I'm going to walk in this. I'm going to go say something and give me the word. You know what I mean? Like approaching it in that humility, wisdom, hopefully wisdom way, and not just going, I'm so ticked off right now. I'm going to say, and just, vomit words on people in a way that doesn't accomplish anything.
Right. And does not bring glory to God.
It does not bring.
And that's the thing it comes back to is like, think about David, right? So like David as a little kid, like he's like, when he's going to like fight Goliath, there's no fear, right? Because he knows God's with him and God's like, go do that. But I think a lot of us tend to try to be Saul's instead of David's, right? And what does Saul constantly do? Yeah, look at me.
Yeah.
He thinks he can do it.
Yeah. And I think, and he wants the glory to fall back upon him as opposed to God. Saul does that over and over again and over again. I'm talking Saul.
That turns into Paul.
No, I'm talking Saul.
Not Saul of Tarsus. Saul
before, King Saul before
King Saul.
The first.
I don't think it's with the men in this room. I don't think it'd be a courage issue. I think it'd be more of like what Rob said, like taking a step back, thinking about if this is the battle, how you're going to fight this battle, and then whether or not to do it. Is it more of a wisdom piece than like, I want to do this, but I just don't have the courage to do this.
I would word vomit terrible things, and I would probably sever those ties completely rather than build the bridge.
So, yeah, I would like to think that the men in this room and guys that are real true believers would take a step back from the situation and think about it. It wouldn't be a courage issue as much as like, is this where I need to take a stand, and is this the way to do that, to take this stand? And if it is, God be with me, because I am totally unequipped, unprepared, and
What's the first thing we're all going to give up if we were to do something, if called to?
Ego.
Comfort. You're giving up comfort, right? The moment you cause, I don't care, even unjust confrontation, right?
Yeah.
You give up comfort.
Yeah.
You're going to give it up with righteous confrontation too. You're going to give it up.
Yeah.
And so, and I think that, for me, that a lot of times that is a hindrance. I'm like, I don't want to give that comfort.
You don't want to be vulnerable.
I just don't want to give up. Like, I don't want to have more crap to deal with, right?
I think it's where my mind goes to after we were just talking about it. It's like, do I have a lack of faith?
Right.
Like, do I have this lack of, not a lack of conviction, because obviously it's there if we're talking about it, right? If we're pissed off about it, we're talking about it. We got the conviction.
Sure.
We know what's right. It's there. We're talking about it right now. But if we're not standing up to it, is it a lack of faith? Right? But stepping back and saying, all right, is this what you want me to do, God? But then if it's on your heart that deeply, are we lacking the faith to step forward and just say, forget to your point, comfort, forget the comfort, forget what people are going to say about me. I'm stepping forward in you, God. You're going to give me the words, and I'm going to say them. And just let it go, right? And just let the chips fall where they may. I think, so my heart, when I'm just through the talk here, I'm just like, man, it's like a lack of faith.
Yeah. I'm sitting here thinking about like preparation, like, the example of like, guys mistreating a woman. Like, okay, preparation, like I can hand out a beating or I can take one. Big deal. That's been a part of my life, unfortunately, but like
Taking them or handing them out?
both.
Taking them.
maybe more taking them. But I've maybe handed out a few, but like the preparation side of like taking a stance on like, something that's eternal for someone, like, dude, that's not right. Or that's not right. Whatever, you, that seems eternal, and that's a heavy thing. And of course that takes preparation. Like David, man, he was, God had shown him over and over that I got you, bro. You go fight that Goliath. You're gonna whip that guy.
But even then, he's still
Right.
there's still plenty of times where he didn't have the faith.
Right.
And God had to
You-
remind
you're only going to
Hey.
get it from God. And,
Yeah.
and so if God's
Right.
prompting you, I think he's prepared you, and you better be ready to step forward, and
Boom.
Boom.
That sums it up.
Mic drop.
If God called you, he's prepared you, so you better do it.
yeah.
Go do it.
Just
Do
trust, trust him, dude. There's nobody better. And also preparation includes you're not really fighting the guy or the ideology. You're fighting evil, man. You're not fighting that person. It's not personal. You're doing God's work if you're
That's a great
stepping
point.
forward and like this isn't personal. Like these people they're
lost.
they're lost
Yeah.
or maybe mentally ill, but
Yeah.
but probably just lost.
That's a really good point.
And if you go at that with grace and love, like you go to your kids, hey, I don't want you to run with that scissors, and here's why, and
And they don't listen. You let them stab themselves in the eye.
absolutely, they'll learn.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, we like it kind of brings us together in a big public forum or whatever. Like so when we're attacking the spirit of the age or the culture, whatever you want to call it, and that's a non-personed amoeba of ideology, right? So I mean that. So like, yeah, like no, we're not going to teach these in the school. I'm going to fight against it. I'm going to push against it. But hey, teacher, Bob Smith, I know you're teaching this. You're mad at me. Let's go out. Let's grab a coffee. Let's talk about it. So I can do both at the same time. Like I can show, no, I'm not, none of this is okay. I'm going to push against this with everything I have. But that doesn't mean I'm pushing against you as a person.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean? And so and I think that we try, or as we're so focused on the one-on-one, which is good. The one-on-one is good. We need to be focused on that, but we can have both. We can push against the collective amoeba and still engage the one-on-one.
You can put forth the olive branch
Right.
in that situation.
Like I'm against gay marriage. I don't think that it exists, right? That's outside of God's plan. I've got friends who are men married to other men. I'm still friends with them. They know I disagree with it. I can fight against it. I can vote against it. All these things, those people and I can still have.
You can still love that
friendship
person.
and I can try to reach them one-on-one. They're not mutually exclusive.
Right.
It's okay. You can confront ideas and then have relationship with people
Yep.
at the same time. Yeah.
Right.
So, all right, Dylan. Any last words of wisdom before we close her down?
You're asking the wrong guy.
Well, I was asking you so we could end it.
wow.
I don't have any words of wisdom. I'm just listening to a bunch of wise guys here.
All right. Well, at least you're not back on the pop.
Going on 9 years now.
Off the pop.
Off the pot.
Off the
Attaboy.
pop.
All right. Nice. All right. Rob, you want to close this?
Yeah. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this time together, being able to just speak and just pray that our words be the words that are your words go through, but the words that aren't your words that just fall to the wayside. And we just thank you for this time. We just pray for those that are lost, pray for those that are looking, and please give us wisdom and understanding how to confront these evils of the world today and look at people through your eyes and see people with your eyes. And that's the compassion and mercy and grace that you have given us. Let us please extend the same to them as we look at them and confront these issues. We love you. We thank you and give you all the glory. In your name we pray, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Jesus.
All right, guys. Thanks for sticking around with us a little longer than normal this time. And we'll catch you next time on the Manhood Neat podcast. Hey, Rob, don't forget to pour a little of that in the infinity bottle. Thanks.